Oh, we're live. Hello, welcome. I'm Dave Murphy. I'm a social media marketing manager in Sage in UK and Ireland, and I'm pleased to introduce Wendy van Gilst. Wendy, you can let everybody know who you are and what you do.
Absolutely. Hi, my name is Wendy van Gilst and I'm the social media manager here in Sage in Ireland as well. And I've been asked to talk about personal branding.
Yeah, so today's topic is how to improve your personal brand and what kind of experience you have, because there's a plethora of social media out there to use, from Facebook to Twitter, LinkedIn for your professional brand in particular as well. So how do you get about doing that, and why is it important really? Because you hear about brands, and Sage has brand values and brand attributions that you need to follow. So what about your personal brand? How is that important, and why should you have a personal brand?
Well, I think everybody nowadays has social media profiles. And that means that everybody can find us. So whether you work for a business or you own your own business, people will find you.
Yeah.
And it is really important when people find your profiles that they can actually get something out of it, because that's what we try to achieve, of course. So your personal brand will help you, and just take as an example, you work for a business and you want to generate leads, or you want to find new prospects, or you want to engage with your customers. You can use your profiles to engage with customers, to find new customers. So that's one part of your personal brand. So when you have a good profile and you position yourself as an expert in something, so if you try to sell software like we do in Sage, and you position yourself as somebody who understands the markets, who understands the trends, you can use that because people will trust you. They will see your personal brand online.
So, for example, if you're working in a company like Sage or a similar software company, or any company at all, even a small business, how do you differentiate yourself? What are kind of the approaches that you would make to make yourself useful to other people out there so that they come back to your business eventually and buy your products? So what would you suggest?
Well, a lot of people think that when you talk about companies, it's all about sharing company content.
Yeah.
So let's say you have your own business. People are always very tempted to share a lot about their business.
To get on their soapbox and share how good they are. Exactly.
Yeah. And that's not what people are looking for. They're looking for information. They're looking for information to learn from you.
Yeah.
And people will trust you when you share information that's wider than only telling people, hey, I'm very proud of my product and it's the best product out there.
It's like going to a party and talking to somebody and all they talk about is, I did this, I did that, I did this. You're going to turn off quite quickly. Is that the case where if you have some interesting stories that might make their life better or might influence them, I think that's probably what that's what you're getting at here.
Yeah, and what I like to use is the 4-1-1 rule. So when you share 6 pieces of content per week, per day, depending on the platform, of course. 4 times you share content that is adding value, but it's not about you or your business.
Exactly.
So it's industry information, it's trends, it's what's going on in the market. 1 time you share a piece of content that is about your business, so that could be about your products, maybe you have a competition running, promotion, and then 1 time you share something personal. Because it's really important that people see that there's a real human behind your profile. Because otherwise you look like a machine. If you're only sharing content all the time and it's never personal, people think you're a content machine.
You're a boss.
Boring.
It's really boring and stuff like that. I was down at Wendy's desk this morning and I noticed something very interesting. Wendy has a schedule of tweets for the whole day, so can you explain how much time you spend on social to build your brand, say for instance on Twitter, and what kind of content based on that 4-1-1 rule that you implement?
So what Dave saw was I always schedule my tweets every morning. So I decided to schedule 1 tweet per hour. The reason why I do it is because I'm active in the social media area. People share a lot of content when it comes to social. I'm absolutely not saying that you should also share 1 tweet per hour. Absolutely not. It's up to you. It's your personal brand. That's the decision I made. But what I do is I take 15 minutes in the morning to make sure that my content is scheduled.
Just 15 minutes, that's it?
Yeah, and I use a tool called Hootsuite. It's a free tool, so everybody can use it. You just sign in with your Twitter profile, with your Facebook page, and you schedule all your content. So that's done. So for the rest of the day, I don't have to worry about, I need to share some content, because that's there. It will go out every hour. And then on top of that, it's important, of course, to engage with people. So it's not now I'm finished and I close down all my Twitter and social activities. I still need to check my profiles to see if people engage with my content. Maybe they ask questions or they retweet my tweets.
And do you designate time in the evening or morning or lunchtime then to do your replies, or do you do them instantly?
Depending on how my day looks like, but if I'm very busy,
Yeah.
I always pick like right after lunch, or if I don't have the opportunity to have lunch, I still find some time around lunchtime to check in on Twitter and see if there is any engagement around my tweets. In the evenings as well, but when I walk home, for example, from work, I spend my time on Twitter. And it's the same when you're in the bus or you're in the train, or when you have 5 minutes, you can just use the app.
You can do so much in 5 minutes, that's the thing. Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely, and I think that's the key for success as well. Because people always think that social media takes a lot of time. And it doesn't have to take much time when you spread it out during the day and you have all the apps on your phone available.
Yeah, kind of like digesting or consuming social media, the snack bites that you take during the day don't actually add up to that much time. So you probably, how long altogether cumulatively would you spend on social media a day? Maybe an hour or less?
Maybe an hour, but I think, and of course we both work in social media, so for us it's something we really enjoy, and it's part of everything we do. But I can imagine when you're a business owner and you're extremely busy, you don't have the time to spend a lot of time on social media. When you break it up in very small pieces, when you're waiting for your next customer, when you order a sandwich.
Yes, in line, when you're queuing at restaurant.
Just make sure you have all the apps on your phone, and instead of scrolling through your Facebook feeds, which we all do all day long.
Waste time.
Use Sales Navigator, for example. There's a Sales Navigator app, and instead of focusing on your friends, which is nice of course, but you can also spend 5 minutes on your prospects.
Yeah, exactly. For anybody that doesn't know, Sales Navigator is a LinkedIn tool that's used for prospecting potential customers. It's a social selling tool. Both Wendy and myself are certified social selling trainers from LinkedIn. And if you have any questions specifically on that, throw them in and we'll do all of the Q&A, but specifically on Sales Navigator after the call. But like Wendy said, there's apps for everything. There's an app for Hootsuite. Buffer is another great platform that I've used in the past and do use sometimes now as well for scheduling tweets or scheduling Facebook posts or LinkedIn posts, and it's great. Just in general as well, maybe about profile pictures and stuff like that. So we look, some people don't have profile pictures. That's a complete no-no. As we know, both of us work in social media. But how often do you change your profile picture? And for example, do you have the same profile picture across all of your Twitter, your Facebook, your LinkedIn, everything?
Yeah.
Is that how you approach it?
Yeah, absolutely, So it's really important, as Dave said, to have a profile picture first of all. But second of all, it's important that people recognize you from that picture.
Exactly. Exactly. When you go into a meeting and then somebody doesn't recognize you, they're kind of going, is that person? And they're kind of squinting and not 100% sure. Yeah,
because a lot of people do have profile pictures, but there's a lot of noise in the background, like colors, or they're in a very busy area, or they have a picture with 3 people on it, so it's really hard to see who is the person that I'm going to have.
I think there's nothing worse when you see a profile picture of somebody and they have a really good profile, but the picture is they're on a night out with their friends, there's a glass of wine in it, it's in the wrong context, it's not professional. I'm not saying that Twitter or Facebook should be like that, but definitely your LinkedIn should definitely represent who you are on a business. No, I'm not saying get dressed up in a suit. If that's not what you wear to work, don't wear it in your profile picture. And I like to use the same image across all my profiles. So when somebody finds me on LinkedIn and they search for me on Twitter, they know, hey, I found the same person as I found on LinkedIn. Yes, exactly.
Just to make it a bit easier. So it depends on which channels you actively want to use to prospect and to build your personal brand. And I think it's also good to mention that if you have an Instagram account and you really like health and sports, and you have your own business that has nothing to do with health and sport, you can still have those profiles next to each other. So you absolutely don't have to worry about having profiles that don't relate to your business or to your job. If that's something you like, that's also part of your personal brand.
Yes, exactly.
And what I think is really interesting is when you're in contact with people, let's say customers, prospects, and you find that somebody has a similar interest, that's something you can use to mention when you reach out to them and you say, hey, I see you're interested in health as well.
It makes it a bit distinct. Another question. We're having some technical difficulties that here with the microphone, so I hope everybody can hear us clearly. But another question is, how do you make yourself stand out? So I have probably one of the most common names in Ireland, apart from Michael Murphy, who's my older brother, but Dave Murphy's quite a common name. For example, in Sage, there's multiple Dave Murphys in the business. How do you make yourself stand out, say in your profile, for LinkedIn, for example, in a professional profile? How do you make yourself stand out? And I think you touched on it there as well. You're interested in health and sport, and these are conversational cues when you go into a meeting and somebody recognises you from your photograph that's up to date on your personal brand, and you go in. So how do you make yourself stand out and make that little bit of difference when someone reaches out to you for your experience, not just you're sharing great content and making their lives easier? How do you make yourself stand out in your profile descriptions?
Well, first of all, it needs to be a complete profile.
Yes.
So with complete, when we talk about LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is the most difficult profile to get it up to date.
Yeah.
You need to have a good profile picture, as we mentioned. You need to have a compelling headline.
Yeah.
So instead of having a title that is maybe completely normal for you, but you use words that are not very common for other people outside the area you're active in, it's really important that you explain in simple words what it is that you do.
Yeah.
So that could be, for example, maybe you sell products that help other businesses to grow. Your headline could be that you're the CFO of a business and you're helping businesses to grow within a specific area. So that's in easy words to explain what it is that you do. And then the summary on your LinkedIn profile is really important.
Yeah.
So your summary is your introduction. People, for some reason, clicked on your profile and they want to learn more about you. Whether you've shared content, maybe you placed a comment somewhere, there is an interest in you. They want to know who you are. Yeah. So your summary is your introduction, and I always like to use the example of when you go to a birthday party and somebody asks you, hey, what do you do for a living, and you've never met. You're going to tell a story that's really nice, and you're going to introduce your business or the company you work for. You're not going to talk about targets that you always hit. Your
MQLs, your inquiries, all this kind of stuff.
You're going to give KPIs, a high-level introduction to the business you work for, what you're passionate about. It's very personal. Yeah. So your summary needs to hit people straight away. So if you're personal, so in case you say something about yourself, what you're passionate about, you're a photographer, if you mention that, that's something personal.
It helps you stand out. I think that clicks with people when they meet you again, or it makes you stand out when they're looking through profiles, similar profiles.
Because when you're in sales, we have hundreds, maybe thousands of people who work in sales. Yeah. So why should I listen to you and not to one of your competitors? Yeah. And that personal part, which is really important for your personal brand. Yeah, it's building relationships. Essentially, that's really what personal branding is about, making it stand out, and then people will be attracted to that relationship of who you are as well. Yeah. I suppose one kind of thing, is there any negatives associated with building a personal brand? Have you come across any negatives over the last few years? To be honest, I don't see any negatives around building a personal brand. Yeah. I believe it's not only helping you to find new business, but it also helps you to get a promotion faster. It helps you to get your dream job. So it just in general, it helps you to build your career, to be more successful. I believe that every professional, whether you're in sales, in marketing, it doesn't matter in which area you're active, it will help you, it will benefit you. Of course, you can affect your brand negatively if you share content that doesn't relate to what you try to achieve, that's not interesting or relevant for your network. I always tell people, and I think that's interesting to mention as well, I'm not accepting everybody in my LinkedIn network. Why? It's a hard question, but why? Is it quality over quantity? Absolutely, So I believe that when I look at my own network, and I would love other people to do the same, as you want to add value to your network. Yes, So you want to understand what's interesting for them. So when I connect with people, I want to understand how I can add value. So when I get an invite from somebody who lives on the other side of the world, who works in an industry that I don't have any relation to, and I don't really see why we should connect, and the person is not explaining to me why this person wants to be part of my network, I don't add them to my network just because of the fact that I can never share content that's interesting for them. So I can never add value. So when people try to connect with me and they don't send a personal invite, but I do think there is in some way a relation or in some way a similar interest, I send them a message and I always ask them, hey, why do you want to be part of my network? I want to make sure that I can add value to you when I add you to my network. Because I find that really important. So I know that the people that I'm connected to are interested in my personal brand. Whether it's the fact that I work for Sage, the fact that I talk about social media, that doesn't
Yes,
really matter.
yeah,
But
exactly.
I know what they're interested in, and that means that I know when I share content, it's interesting for them, and I'm adding value to them.
Do you ever question if that they can add value to you as well?
As well, absolutely, yeah. But sometimes people want to connect because they're looking for a job in Sage.
Yes.
That's completely fine. I mean, I don't mind connecting with people who want to learn more about Sage or who want to have a career in Sage. Some people connect with me because they want to learn more about social selling, but they're not interested in Sage, but I can still add value. And when somebody is interested in social selling, I know we have a common interest, similar to people who want to work for Sage.
Yeah, exactly.
We have
So, say for example, if somebody's just starting out and they want to build their personal brand from zero, how would you suggest they do it, and what would the time scale be to do it as an investment?
That's a really good question. I would start with LinkedIn, and I believe that every professional, every business owner needs to have a good, complete LinkedIn profile.
Completely agree.
Yeah. So you should at least spend an hour and a half on your LinkedIn profile to make it perfect.
Yeah.
Because I only believe in perfect profiles.
Yeah.
So you can have 10 profiles that are incomplete, or you can have one that is complete, and I would say go for the one that's complete.
Yeah, so that includes background image, your profile image that's
rich
relevant,
media.
Your rich media. By rich media, you mean videos, slides from current jobs. Put them in your summary. I think it's very important as well to make it stand out, but also past jobs.
Yeah, absolutely, and try to have a nice mix between company-related content and content that is not related to your business or the company you work for. I like to use TED videos as an example. If you see a very interesting TED video, you can share that on your LinkedIn profile as well.
Obviously related to the topics that you talk about and the subjects that you share as well, whether they're social media or photography or whatever it's going to be.
Yeah, absolutely,
I think one important point as well is personalising your URL on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing that everybody just about misses, because you end up with linkedin.com/gobbledygook.
Yeah.
So change it if you can to something similar to your Twitter handle or to your Facebook profile name as well. I think that's one kind of key win that you can put in when you're putting together a CV or a business card or kind of content details. It shows you care. It really does show you care.
Yeah.
And it's something that can be missed quite easily.
Yeah, and it shows that you understand the platform.
Exactly.
Which is important as well, And it's the same for Twitter. A lot of people start very active. So when they spend a bit of time with me and they understand, okay, I need to build my personal brand, they start with LinkedIn, they optimize their profile, and then they move on to Twitter, and they build this really nice profile, which is on Twitter, of course, quite easy. So you're very limited to the amount of characters, and then they just stop being active on they forget about it, or they just go into the rest of things that needs to be done, and they just feel like they tick the box of I have a Twitter profile.
So when you're coaching people, do you say to them, look, you've built your profile, now here's what I do, you should probably replicate this? Is that what you suggest to them?
Yeah.
So 15 minutes in the morning, get your profile ready, schedule your tweets for the day.
Schedule your LinkedIn content as well. You can
so where do you get your content? Where do you source the content from that you want to share?
I find a lot of content on Twitter.
Okay.
So I use Hootsuite as well to listen into specific hashtags. So you can schedule content, but you can also listen into content. So I search for hashtags like social media, social selling, marketing. It's a really easy way for me to find a lot of content. But there are several ways that you can find content. You can find content on LinkedIn itself. You can find content on what people share that you follow across the channels. So you can share content from other people. If somebody writes a blog post and you think it's interesting, you can share it. There are a lot of really good websites like Forbes and Inc.
Forbes is brilliant. All top. The Guy Kawasaki site is absolutely super. It's a massive RSS feed, and then RSS feeds from Google as well. So Google Alerts. Just on developing then your brand. So if somebody goes in and maybe spends an hour and a half on LinkedIn, does about an hour on Twitter, and gets themselves set up, and then gets into the routine, it's probably about a month by the time they actually start to establish their brand from zero. Would that be correct?
It takes a bit of time, and especially on Twitter, people are always very focused on getting followers. They still think that followers show how successful you are, which I disagree with.
It's quality. It's what you talked about earlier on LinkedIn. It's the same thing as well. It's quality over quantity. It really makes the difference.
And it needs to become a habit. So in the beginning, it will take some time to get up to speed, to find your content. But once you know your sources and you know what you like, and you know where to find content quite fast.
Yeah, so creating Twitter lists and stuff like that. So that 21-day rule applies to establish a habit or quit a habit.
So absolutely.
That's brilliant. And then would you suggest, if people have the desire to evolve further their personal brand, so you have a vlog and you blog as well, so you have loads of time for social media. I don't have as much time. I have YouTube and Instagram and a few other things, a few blogs going on Medium and stuff like that. So would you push people towards that area if they're comfortable, or do you think that's just a natural evolution that they'll find themselves for their own personal brand?
And depending on how active you want to be with your personal brand. So if you want to use it actively to find customers or prospects, or you want to use it actively to promote your business, it is really good to create your own content. Whether it's writing a blog post or making a video. Video content is hot. I mean,
it's,
all the platforms are all over video content, and as we're doing right now, you don't have to be an expert to do a Facebook Live video.
Facebook Live, there's YouTube Live, there's Instagram Live, there's so many options out there, and video is so accessible to everybody.
And it doesn't have to be perfect anymore.
No.
So I think it is quite easy to create your own content. LinkedIn blog posts. You can write your own LinkedIn post. It stays on top of your profile, which means that people will always find it when they go to your profile.
And then actually it's very good for your SSI score, back to social selling, which is a LinkedIn product, to make it more relevant as well. Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a great way to share your expertise, your knowledge.
Exactly,
Don't talk about your business again. Of course, you can mention your business, but it should be about how you add value. So even if you're selling a specific product, I'm sure you can learn people something that will at some point help them to buy your product.
Exactly. I think sometimes there is corporate pressure for you to maybe write a blog post that includes invites to an event or a specific product launch or something like that. So how do you, in your own personal brand, handle a situation like that where you say, from on top, there's pressure here, would you like to write a blog post on your own post about a new Sage product or about a new Microsoft product, and promote it to your guys because I think they'll like it. So how do you handle a situation like that?
Well, it's really important that you think, how does that fit into my personal brand? So
and your audience, obviously.
Absolutely. So if somebody would ask me to write a blog post about something related to Sage, it would always give it a social media flavor.
Yes.
So I would write it in a way where I share my opinion. So I tell people this is what I think. If we talk about the Sage Summit, which is on beginning of April, if I would write a post about it, I would explain people how they can, what value they will get out of Sage Summit.
Yes.
But I would also talk about how we promote it in a social way, or how it impacts the way that we use social media.
So the mechanics of somebody learning something, not just the invite and the push. So it's a soft push for the message of the call to action, but actually you're sharing your experience and knowledge at the same time.
Yeah, and then you will see that people are also willing to share it, because people are more open to share content where they can learn from, or that entertains, or that makes them laugh. Instead of sharing content that is just about the Sage Summit that's coming up, because that's not interesting for everybody. Where if you take the learn approach, it's absolutely interesting for everybody.
And it has to be entertaining as well. And it's like the video, like you're saying, it's raw. It's not scripted, so we don't have a script. We have a piece of paper with a few questions that we haven't really used, and it's just a conversation. So that's the way it goes. I think that's it's become more personable, and it breaks down the barriers.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not professional. We're on Instagram Live, we're on Facebook Live at the moment. We're going to take questions now in a few minutes just to see how it is. But you're building your personal brand at the same time, because you're letting the barriers down and letting people in.
Yeah, and I think what is important as well is listening to what other people say, because that's what a lot of people forget. When we talk about social media, it's all about what is the content I should share.
Yes.
What should I talk about? But it's really important to understand what other people are telling you. So listen to people. What are they interested in? What is the content they share? And then reply to that. Because then you start to build relationships.
Yes, exactly.
If you want to get a promotion in a business, it's really important that you build a relationship with the people who are going to be your next managers or your next leaders. And the only way to do it is by listening what they talk about and use that information.
And engaging with a conversation. And like you said, I think that's a really important point that a lot of people miss when they're building a personal brand. Is it's not just about I'm up on my soapbox, this is what I do, look at me, but actually engaging and building relationships, commenting on people's Instagram posts, commenting on Facebook or on LinkedIn, asking questions and listening as well is really important.
Yeah, and I think what's good to mention as well is because I get the question a lot, should I use Facebook for social selling? So you have your personal brand on Twitter and LinkedIn, a lot of people get that. But how should you use Facebook or Instagram in the same setting when we talk about reaching out to customers and prospects?
Yes, exactly,
And there's a lot of information available about your prospects and customers. So if they have an Instagram account, review it, see what they post, so understand what they're interested in, and use that information when you reach out to them on LinkedIn. So I would not say reach out to them on Instagram,
on the platform,
because that's not really appropriate to do.
Yes.
But do use that on LinkedIn, use it on a phone call, use it when you meet face to face, but leverage all the channels, because people share content because they want other people to see it. So it's out there, it's available for you, and if you don't spend time on it and you just miss out on it, but your competitor does, you're already one step behind.
But I think if you something very important there is that when you reach out and look at people's profiles and then you go in a sales or a business position to talk to a potential customer, the first thing they're going to do is go online and search about who you are. They're going to go, Wendy Van Gil's Sage, and then if you don't have a personal brand out there, it's going to stick out like a sore thumb. They're not going to scroll through Google to try and find stuff. They're not going to scroll through Instagram or Facebook to try and find you. But if you have a good, solid brand there, they're going to find you. That's your personal brand, and then they're going to make that connection to say, this person really cares about their job, and they really care about their career. And that shows I can trust this person. So you build trust straight away, and I think it's fantastic that you can do that, because that's essentially what people do. You look at them, you've made a connection and said, I looked at your Instagram, I think you might be able to do business on this. They're going to look you up straight away.
Of course,
I think that's really, really important. What do you see as a trend going forward for the personal brand? Is it going to be vlogs? Is it podcasts? What kind of areas are you kind of pushing in, new areas you're going to push into now in the next while?
I think in general, personal branding is starting to be more and more important. So I think we're moving towards a situation where when you apply for a role, you don't need a CV. You just have your personal brand that shows people who you are.
All your profiles.
Absolutely. I also believe that there's going to be a stronger connection between all the channels. So instead of only using LinkedIn or Twitter, you see that all the channels start to blend in. I also believe a lot of video content. You see more and more people who start to make videos. It's so easy to do. It's such a nice way to introduce yourself to people. Instead of sending a mail or sending an application, you send a video where you tell a bit about yourself. It's more human. People are more open to engage with you because they have a feeling they get to know you a bit better. You're not hiding behind paper and a picture. It's the real you.
And have you done that in the past, or have you seen that being done in the past on social?
When I joined Sage, when I applied for my role, I did a video.
Wow.
I did a video where I answered a couple of questions around particular topics related to the role, of course. And I thought it was a really interesting way to do. And I think that's absolutely the way we're moving forward to.
Just one technical issue. We'll just fix this here. Just share the video. So you think that's the way we're moving forward? Is video?
But it's videos everywhere. And whether it's with vlogs, and with vlogs I mean people who just film their whole life, like literally every step they take and every piece of food they take. Or it's with creating videos that are more like in a setting around a particular topic. But also, I do believe that at some point we will all have our own website. So I have my own blog, which is my full name.
That's the next step. So there is platforms out there like Medium, like WordPress, like Blogger, the Google platform. So you have your own one. So you're gone up from personal brand on the networks to a blog or blogging platform, and now your own website. So how does that work? How did you get to that stage? What was the desire for your own website?
Well, I like to create content, just in general, and I like to write as well. So I just decided to set up my own WordPress account, which is free and it's really easy to use. It's very straightforward. But you also have like Blogger, as you said, and Medium. They're all very similar. I just started to write. I just started to write my thoughts on a particular topics. I write a lot about social selling, social media, but also about health and running. And when I introduce myself to people, mainly online, I always share my own website so people can learn a bit about me. They learn about what are my interests, what do I think is important, what do I like to share. And also because I got a lot of questions from people around social media, like how do I get more followers on Twitter, what is a good LinkedIn profile, how do I write a good email. I use all those questions to write content for my blog. So when somebody asks me the question, I always tell them, oh, you can go to my blog.
People are feeding you the content ideas, which is super, which is exactly what you need, really. Yeah, it's brilliant. And is it colleagues or and a mixture of other people, or what kind of people are coming to you with the questions?
It's a mixture. I also get questions from people that I've never met in person, but I'm connected to on LinkedIn, or they follow me on Twitter, or they see my YouTube video and they just ask questions, and I use that to create content.
That's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So video is the way to go, folks.
Video is the way to go.
Yeah. Absolutely brilliant. Do we have any questions at this stage? I don't think we have any questions. Let's see, any questions on Instagram Live? No questions on Facebook Live. Before we go and before we say goodbye, we should do all Wendy's profiles so we know how a personal brand actually works. So if we run down whatever way you want to do it, from website down or from social?
It's very straightforward. I always use my first name and my last name, so it's Wendy van Gilst. So my blog is wendyvangilst.com. Same for Instagram, it's Wendy van Gilst. Twitter, it's Wendy van Gilst. Which is a last tip that I want to give you: be very consistent.
Yes, exactly.
Because then it's easier to find you as well, and it's easier to share with people. There's a higher chance you will remember it. If I would give you now 10 different handles, you probably forget 9 of them. Where now it's all my name for every channel. It's Instagram, it's Twitter, it's my YouTube, it's my website.
That's brilliant. I am Dave Murphy. I am Dave Murphy across all of those platforms as well. So thanks very much, Wendy, for your time today. I think it's been very insightful. If you do have any questions, post them in the comments below and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye bye.